Alexander Boris de Pfeffel Johnson was born in New York on June 19th in 1964, which makes him a Gemini. Unable to decide where to live, his British upper-middle-class parents moved back and forth between the USA and Great Britain, with a short stop in Brussels in between, until they finally divorced in December 1978. Boris and his 3 younger siblings moved to London with their mother. Being blessed with wealthy parents, Johnson was able to attend some prestigious schools, including Eton College, where he began calling himself Boris instead of Alex, and developed the eccentric British persona he is known as today. At Oxford University, he gained experiences in journalism, editing a newspaper. It was also here that he first ventured into politics by running for union president, losing, running again, this time downplaying his conservative connections and pretending to be a social democrat or liberal, winning, and being pretty smug about it. Boris started his journalistic career by inventing a quote for an article in The Times, for which he got fired. He ended up at the Daily Telegraph because of his connections, and since nobody there seemed to care about integrity. Pleasing the middle-aged middle-class readership of the UK by using fancy words, he went on to report on the European Commission in Brussels, spreading Euroscepticism that was mainly associated with leftist politicians to Britain's right wing by spicing up the stories he wrote with sweet little lies. His first political attempts were initially foiled, but after appearing on national television multiple times and consequently getting recognized on the street by the public, he managed to be elected Member of Parliament in 2001. In his first year on the job, he missed about half of the common votes, and even more in the years to follow. Multiple controversies, including racism, bigotry, affairs, cronyism, and the general lack of attendance, not only led to a second term as MP, but also to 2 terms as Mayor of London, Foreign Secretary, and finally Conservative Party leader and Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. He even created a new ministerial title for himself, Minister of the Union. Bojo, as he is called, is often stammering or making seemingly witty remarks instead of answering questions seriously. Adding his white hairstyle to the overall picture, one could be led to believe that he was a simple guy that could be taken lightly. But Boris is far from stupid, as he utilizes his deliberately clownish appearance in order to be underestimated, which can prove fatal for the people opposing him. Although he seems to be a bumbling, idling guy next door, his ambitions are high and he is ruthless in pursuing them. But how can someone who got dismissed from a political position because he lied to the public about cheating on his wife, who claims to be pro-LGBTQ but refers to gay men as tank-topped bum boys, who brags about his culturally diverse ancestry that includes not only a Turkish minister, German nobles, but also a mummified woman who was found in a church in Switzerland, but uses terms as pickaninnies, watermelon smiles, and even the N-word. Someone who lied to the Queen so she would prorogue Parliament to avoid scrutiny of his own political plans, who despises the poor, calls elitism a necessity, and simply doesn't care about public health and homelessness. How can someone so despicable appeal to the British electorate enough to lead the Conservative Party to the biggest win in over 20 years? Although there are many reasons, I want to highlight what in my opinion are the 2 main causes. First, portrayal in media. Even though Boris Johnson oozes controversies, people like to view his mistakes as human. And while I agree that no human being is perfect, his flaws should not be brushed aside by this reasoning. As a leading political figure, he has the responsibility to represent the whole population, even the ones he calls lefty tossers. Sadly, cancel culture has led to a desensibilization of the public. Every outcry that doesn't fit a conservative ideological mindset and an accordingly constructed framing is ridiculed by being attributed to overly sensitive individuals. A constant stream of scandals has led to the normalization. Back in the day, Monica Lewinsky giving head to Bill Clinton was enough to topple the most powerful man in the world. In contrast, a few years ago, Donald Trump even got elected after his pussy-grabbing attitude had become public. Additionally, Boris Johnson has a lot of friends in the right places, especially in the media, but also people he met in college, like the brother of the Princess of Wales or several successful businessmen. His portrayal as a wealthy, quirky man who doesn't act like an elitist, even though he clearly is one, led to his huge popularity. Second, party affiliation. The UK is similar to the USA in that they both have two major parties that mainly shape the political landscape. While smaller parties tend to be relatively more important in the UK, it still comes down to the Conservative Party or the Labour Party in the end. For many people, the party they identify with is more important than the politicians and sometimes even the politics themselves. It's like in a football match, where you root for your team no matter the players, and since currently the right is not nearly as split as the centre and left, they tend to come out ahead. In this case, Brexit has become the main goal, and regions that voted Labour for years switched to Conservatives, even though they were put at a disadvantage by the party's programme. It doesn't help either that there are double standards regarding certain actions. If someone from your party acts controversial, it is either a setup, a lie, or not that bad. But if it is the other way around, you take it at face value, sharpening pitchforks, lighting torches, and getting ready to mob. Many people do not inform themselves on the majority of political issues. Some vote what the people around them vote or what their families have always voted, resembling a hive mind. Others dislike certain groups and want to just stick it to them. Of course, there's a lot more to it, but for the sake of this video's length, I'll leave it at that. To sum everything up, Boris Johnson is an elitist and populist who doesn't think he has to abide by the rules. He is selfish, ambitious, and very crafty. He knows how to manipulate public opinions and how to seem harmless until he is ready to strike. And now that he is in charge, Great Britain has some tough times ahead.